problems ready to happen. It's just a matter of time. And of course, when they go off the protein because it's starting to make them tired and they're getting acids or getting arthritis or cholesterol is building up depending on their body chemistry, so they have to go off of it, and then out it comes again. Because the body says, we've been storing it in the heart and the arteries and the lungs, and we got to get it out of there. As soon as I hope they stop this thing after a while. As soon as they do, here comes the weight again. The pressure builds up again, pushes it right back out here to keep the vital organs at least having the right pressure. So see, that's just the body trying to help them out. So that's why some people in the last 20 years or 30 years, they've lost 2,000 pounds. They lose the water, gain the water, lose the water, gain the water. See, they're not dealing with the pressure problem, the cause of it, which is too much protein or too much salt. And eating the wrong kind of protein or eat it the wrong time. And some people are high salt and high protein. So because they're high in both of them, their weight stays about the same, but they're, of course, building up a lot of obstructions. But it does, it does artificially keep the pressure, as such, to where you can measure it, it looks okay. All right? But again, you're going to build up too many obstructions doing that, where the tissues are going to get overloaded eventually. In other words, it won't work for very long. So, as far as obstructions, we've got to avoid too much protein and salt if we're going to keep our body from being obstructed, because all the other chemical impurities and preservatives and other types of things that we could take into our body, salt and protein is what grabs onto it and stores it so that it becomes an obstruction. So if we keep the salts and the proteins under control, then the body is going to be able to take care of most of the chemical pollution and stuff like that. Okay? So that's one of the things that we can do to prevent blood pressure problems. Now, if we already have blood pressure problems, then we've got to help those kidneys get that salt out of where it's stored. That's why we need to distill water. And we need to drink it mostly in the morning, because that's when your body cleans out those obstructions the most, is in the morning from 2 a.m. while you're sleeping to 12 noon. That's why we want to just water and fruit. That helps to clean out these obstructions. All right? So we want to do that. And then the protein, I got to help those kidneys especially. Those kidneys tighten up with that protein. By the way, chocolate affects the kidneys and tightens it up, so that can cause a blood pressure problem really in a hurry. Chocolate, caffeine, peanut butter. There's a lot of things like that that can cause a lot of blood pressure problems. Cooking your foods too much. Preserving it. We talked about that as obstruction. Salt is usually used to preserve it. When you cook your foods too much, you turn it to acid, so it becomes an obstruction. The protein in there is going to be causing a blood pressure problem. Eating too late is going to cause a blood pressure problem because you're working on food all night instead of resting. So we way overeat, and that's a big pressure problem, because you get too much food in your system and the colon has to clean it out. It builds up pressure. When you build up pressure in your colon, you're putting pressure on your lungs. And when you're putting pressure on your lungs, you're not breathing good. When you're not breathing good, that's a pressure problem. All right? Now you do breathe through your skin too. But so the foods, we don't want to overeat. We want to chew our foods real good, mix them with that saliva. Because if you don't, the brain can't tell the digestive system what to do with it. It's just going to sit there and build up pressure. Ever notice what happens when you leave food in a container in your refrigerator very long? And then you open it up, what do you have? pressure, right? Psh, ooh. Right? So when food stays in your stomach and your bowel too long, ooh. Did you ever notice some people let off a little pressure? We're not supposed to be running on gas. You know? Or they burp, you know, that lets off a little pressure, right? Right? And then sometimes it comes out through the skin, you know, and we use right guard and left guard to cover that pressure up. And I found that at least 50% of the people with heart attacks, so-called heart attacks, is nothing but a gas attacks. There's gas building up, pressure building up in the blood flow. And that gas bubble gets caught in a valve or something like that, and the heart stops the circulation, and they have a heart attack. So a lot of people that have symptoms of heart attack is just nothing but gas, pressure. Not due to cholesterol buildup, and not due to even salt buildup, but gas buildup because of poor digestion or building up of pressure in the stomach and colon. It's like when you feel like that food's just sitting there, and I'm ready to eat my next meal, and I'm still full. If I have pressure in here, I'd have to loosen my belt in order to put in another meal, you know. You know people like that. You think none of you've ever had that, but you know people like that. So then they start wearing suspenders. See? Because the belt is too tight, see? And of course belts are too tight anyway. We shouldn't wear tight belts because it puts too much pressure. It cuts off the circulation when we're sitting, especially when we're sitting. So we got to watch. Our clothing has a lot to do with pressure too. You know? Some people wear socks that are too tight. I hate socks that are tight. Men's socks, you know, at the top. I mean, you take them off, you got a groove in there. Well, what do you think that's doing to the circulation to your feet? Now you gals with your pantyhose, now that's something else. I don't know how you wear some of those pantyhose. You know, you got to roll them up there, and you're just like squeezing in. Of course, it keeps the pressure in, right? So your gals and your pantyhoses are helping increase the pressure on the outside so you don't have so many things hanging out maybe. But you're causing some pressure problems because it's not evenly distributed inside your body. So, and then the briefs and the clothing, you want to make sure it's loose and not affecting our pressure, because that can cause some pressure problems there, just in our clothing, our bedding, and stuff like that. Some of these people wear some real tight jeans and stuff like that. You know, they can hardly, they bend over a little bit, they pop, except they got good threads in there, but until they get old, they won't pop. But when you're stretching, you're cutting off your breathing, you're cutting off, in other words, we're affecting the pressure just because of some of the stuff we wear just to look good. So we want to, if we help the body take care of the obstructions and all these other things, it'll look like it's supposed to look without doing things like that. But a lot of times we're having problems because of some of these things that we're doing as it relates to what we're wearing, because it does affect our breathing and rest and things like that. Okay, so foods, talked about obstructions, breathing, anything that interferes with breathing directly affects the pressure. Because, see, your heart's a valve that directs the flow of the blood, but your lungs have an artery and a vein that go to the heart. So your breathing is actually the pump for the circulation of your blood through your whole body. So if you're not breathing good, then you're affecting the pressure. See, if your lungs are all clogged up with smoke and stuff like that, see, then you're affecting the ability of your lungs to breathe. And breathing is a direct pressure problem. And a lot of people don't even know how to breathe. They breathe up here and not down here. So their lungs are never used to their fullest capacity. And that's a big reason why they have blood pressure problems. is they don't know how to breathe, and they don't exercise their body and make it breathe. They let it get lazy. So breathing exercise, you hear me, continually trying to impress that upon you. 5 minutes of deep breathing 5 times a day. Do it through the day. Breathing helps the stress from tightening you up. But we have to learn to breathe to keep the stress from tightening us up, or we're going to have a blood pressure problem resolve because of that lack of breathing. So we need the breathing, and we need to make sure our lungs breathe. Now you breathe through your skin too. So you got to make sure your skin has, as I said, loose clothing and natural fiber as much as possible, so it doesn't interfere with the air that coming through the skin. If you were to paint your skin with a metallic paint, you would only breathe through your nose and mouth for 3 minutes and you'd die. See, so if you cut off the ability of your skin to breathe, you're cutting off the ability, you're causing a blood pressure problem because you're interfering with the skin. And by interfering with skin, you're interfering with the blood, or with the lungs. So your lungs and skin work together in your breathing, which is part of the control of your blood pressure. At night, you breathe more through your skin, see, while you're sleeping, than the day. And during the day, you breathe more through your lungs because you need more air capacity to do more work with your body. So your cells need more air volume to move that blood around. Where when you breathe at night, you're laying down, you're resting, you're not worrying about anything, you didn't eat late, and you're sleeping in a good bed, and you haven't got digital clocks, around your head, and all these things that don't let your body rest good. And so the skin is enough, takes up most of the breathing, so your lungs hardly have to work at night while you're charging up your batteries. Okay? So that's important, that the skin stays clean. When you're hot, you should be able to sweat to keep everything cool. That helps regulate the body temperature, which regulates the pressure. And if you're not able to sweat when you're hot, then what happens? You get red. Don't you? Why? Because your temperature's going up. What's going to happen to your blood pressure if your temperature goes too high? You get red. And so they're concerned when someone's temperature gets up there 108, you might have something, that pressure just increases, and you're in trouble. So when your skin don't perspire and you're out there and you don't get enough water, so your pressure could go up and your body just shuts you down. That's why we faint or collapse, because the body will shut us down, at least slow us down that way. So that's why we faint if we don't have enough water coming in to take care of what goes out. All right? And that then brings us to water. Let's go ahead and hit water. Breathing is 56% of your energy. And we got some seminars on dealing with breathing. But rest is important because our body needs to recharge its batteries. And if your battery runs down too much, then there's no spark. So your body's like a battery of cells. Has a 120-year warranty on it. And you're supposed to charge it up every night to cover for you're running it down during the day, depending on your intensity of lifestyle and stress. The more stress and intense, and together with not enough breathing, can really run your battery down. Then you need more rest at night to catch up or stay up. And when you don't get enough, then you stop sparking enough. Then your cells don't spark, they can't use the air, and that's a blood pressure problem. So we need good rest. And we need to get it between 10 and 2, maybe 11:3, if there's a time change. But normally 10 to 2 is when the sun's furthest away from us. That's when your body can shut down and the cells not be stimulated to do work so they can recharge like a battery. All your glands and your brain cells and so on and so forth. So to ensure good pressure control, we want to get our rest. Okay, and then water is what we need, and this is tough because we have to make adjustments in the amount of our water that we drink based on our kind of environment and lifestyle. So we need more water sometimes than other times, but we need enough water for cleaning. Remember we talked earlier about the obstructions. Obstructions interfere with circulation of blood, that causes a blood pressure problem. So we need enough water coming in that we're drinking of good quality to make sure the kidneys have enough to clean out these obstructions, and enough for our skin to keep it cool if it's hot. Or if you're in air conditioning, which lowers the humidity below 40, or you're in heat or air conditioning, and in the process of conditioning your environment that you're working or sleeping or whatever in, you want, and that humidity gets below 40, then you're going to need more water coming in to take care of what the air is going to pull out through your skin. Either that or condition your air using a humidifier or a dehumidifier to keep the humidity between 40 and 60. That's your options. Okay? So breathing, so we want that water. Then you need water for, of course, the kidneys to flush out the salts and the sugars and the ureas so that those obstructions have a way out through your kidneys on a regular basis. You should be urinating about every 2 hours. So sometimes you can go 3 or 4 hours when you're outside and not have to go. Well, see, that's concentrating the salt, sugars, and ureas when you're not letting the bladder empty. And so you're not going to empty because you're sweating. You're losing lots of water through the skin. Well, that's apt to make that pressure go up. Or you're doing playing some ball or some tennis or some basketball, and you're going at it and you're really sweating. Well, you got to get that extra water in there, or the kidneys aren't going to have enough to keep the blood clean. So then you concentrate these waste products in the blood, and of course that interferes with your blood pressure. You can't keep compensating for the pressure on the outside. And so then that can become a problem. So we want to make sure we're putting into our body the amount of water that we're taking out. If you talk a lot, then you also need to add extra water. Because just talking takes a lot of water out of you. All right? So these are things that you have to adjust to, and it's probably water's as important as breathing as far as the direct effect that it can have on your blood pressure. So not enough water one day can make the pressure high, where another day it could be low if you were drinking it. So you see, and no one even considers that when they go get it checked. It's a big variable. All right? And of course it's hard to breathe when you're not getting enough water, because your blood's more viscous. Now if you get too much water at one time, it goes right through and it'll dilute the blood too much, and that can make your pressure go too low. So people with low blood pressure, they drink too much water, their sugar goes down, their blood pressure goes down, their temperature goes down. That's because they don't, too much pressure coming in on them, they don't have enough building up to push out, and so they just feel low, or low pressure going on in their body. So what we've got to learn to do as far as our lifestyle, it's a lifestyle problem. A blood pressure problem is a lifestyle problem. That means we haven't been able to put in as much energy through breathing, rest, water, and food as we're taking out. And we take it out through stress, work, mental and physical, digestion, elimination. So you got to have enough coming in to take care of what's going out. And then we got to keep our body cleaned out of these obstructions and quit putting so much in. Now, those are the two things that we have to do in order for the body to have and maintain good blood pressure. All right? The body's got to maintain it. What we've got to do is have a lifestyle that helps the body get what it needs to maintain it and quit interfering with it. Okay? So blood pressure problem is a lifestyle problem. I hope I got that across to you. And so what we have to do to deal with the cause is to make adjustments in our lifestyle. All right? If you take drugs and things like that, all you're doing is manipulating the body and manipulating the pressure. And you're causing pressure to be adjusted in one part of your body at the expense of another part. And that's not going to pay off in the long run. Let me mention a couple more things on as far as minerals that are important. Potassium is very important to problems with high blood pressure. There can be potassium deficiencies. That's usually involved. And high potassium, low sodium, because that regulates your water, so that's involved in pressure. Okay? So we want to make sure that the minerals, we got to help the body maintain certain minerals. Again, the body will do this if it gets what we need from our foods, if we give it the right kind of foods, right balance of foods, as well as supplementation. There's ways there that you can take care of that deficiency. Too much protein, you need more magnesium. When you sweat, you lose magnesium and potassium. If you don't replace them, you're going to have a blood pressure problem. So those are the mineral deficiencies that we need to keep in mind, kind of as an addendum here. But mainly those are fine-tuning that we can do. And when I work with people individually, those things I try to fine-tune on. But everyone that's listening to me on this video, you can prevent blood pressure problems if you will just make adjustments in your lifestyle. And hopefully I've given you enough information in this video to begin to do those things. Okay?